This is my question for y'all. What is your number one summer song? And yes, it has to be country. Ready, go.
And that's just the truth. Country music is the best
is summer.
in the summer and should be the only music that you're listening to. And that's sorry, that I don't
that's
make
a
the
really,
rules.
really hot take.
I don't
And those
make
are
the
rules you
rules.
made for yourself. That's crazy.
That's just
I'm
what it is.
appreciating country more and more, but my favorite country song, I got two. One, Almost by Thomas Rhett. Y'all need to go listen to that. And two, Easy on the Eyes. Forgot who sings it, but it's so good.
You can just sing it for us, Hollis.
Okay.
Oh, I might be able to do that on your nearest Instagram platform soon.
That makes it sound like you're starting a singing account.
Hollis is starting to do singing
I'm now
accounts.
starting a new
Follow
singing
him.
account.
It's going to be great.
DJ, are you looking through your country music?
complete
Yeah.
opposite.
You both were? Okay,
Yeah.
what you
What
got,
you
Grace?
Honestly, I don't have like a summer one. Mine is just like Forever Never Amen. Sing that to Lo at our
He actually could
rehearsal
sing that
dinner.
for us. That
That
actually would
is
be
so
good.
Can you sing this at the end of this episode?
Yeah.
Yeah. You may think that I'm talking foolish.
Hey.
I love that song.
All right.
Dylan, what's yours?
Yeah,
Die Happy Man. I love it. I can listen to that with the windows
Wait, I
down
have no idea
all
what
the
that
time.
is.
You're gonna love it. We'll show
You don't know that
after.
song?
Who sings
We'll show
it?
you. We'll show you.
We'll
Thomas
show you.
Rhett.
You'll love it. Welcome to This Is Kingdom. This is Grace.
This is Talon.
This is TJ.
This is Hollis.
And this week we're talking about God's intent is to bring you home by Elder Patrick Kearon.
This talk was beautiful. I think that's the adjective I have for this talk. Guys, this morning was actually so cute. I was with some people I knew early this morning, and they showed me probably one of the cutest and saddest Instagram reels I have ever seen. It was no, but you know, like that feeling you get where your like heart drops. That's what happened. The beginning of the Instagram reel is this picture of like this girl, and there's a text that says, "It's fine. I'll just pray tomorrow." And then it shifts to another picture, and it's of this table of one seat right here and another seat right across. And one seat is empty, and the other seat has God in it, just waiting. And I was like, whoa, that's so cute that God's just there waiting, even though they're like, no, I'm not going to pray. I'll pray tomorrow, right? And I kind of love the imagery that gives, how God's just always there waiting for us, no matter what, no matter if we choose to pray tomorrow, the next day, or the next week. And I feel like we have this image or this idea that God is always there waiting for us. And I think that's very true. Like he will always be there. And I feel like, oh, he's just waiting for us to do something. He's waiting for us to do something. He's waiting for us to do something that'll bring us closer to him, because he'll always be there waiting. But what I love about this talk by Elder Kearon is he kind of challenges that idea. He says, yes, that's true, but more than that, God is in relentless pursuit of you. Yes, he's there waiting, but he is also doing everything he possibly can to bring you back home. He is doing everything he possibly can to have a plan, to have an outline, to have this place where he makes sure that you are with him again, because he loves you. He is not just a God that feels far away, waiting for us to do something, but instead he is a God that wants to inch closer and closer to us every single day, through friends, through a text message, through a sunset, through a sunrise. He wants to remind you every day that he is there. And he wants to let you know that you are never alone. And I think that idea is just so beautiful, to know that someone is always chasing you, no matter how many times you try to ignore them.
One of the cutest things you could do when you read this talk and listen to what you just said is just like stop for a second and think about the times when God has relentlessly pursued you. You know, I'm just thinking of times, and it's funny because it's not like the times when I got that cute, like when everything I've had the times when things fall into place. Like I got, and I'm not gonna tell the whole story, but there's times I got like heart attacked and like there's from people in the ward and stuff, like on a tough day, that type of stuff. But also even the times when you like got caught with the wrong group of friends, you know what I'm saying? Or like you got caught, like I feel like God is just I just love thinking of how God has been in my story, whether he's like shaking me up or stirring the pot, or whether he's like sending the love through the people, you know what I mean? I just think that'd be a great activity to do. Just like stop for a second. How has God pursued you in your life?
I'm just picturing all the times that TJ's mom got revelation that TJ was up to something no good. And God's like, Becky, go find him. Go find him.
So true.
Well, and
So
this
true.
is something that I've been thinking a lot about. I'm glad you brought that up, TJ, because I think that's one of the coolest parts of this talk is that I think so often we think about God who's waiting for us and we attach that to the prodigal son and all of these stories where we're like, God is like right there waiting, and that's true. But this talk honestly made me almost obsessed with the story of the 100 sheep and the 99 that stay there and the one that runs away. And I love that, like, Jesus chased him down. Jesus was not going to stop until he found that sheep. Like, it wasn't just him waiting for the sheep to come back, which would have been fine and good, and that would have been nice, and that would have been a kind thing to do. But he wasn't just going to wait. He was going to go out of his way to find them. And that's true about Jesus in our lives right now, is that he's not just going to wait, but he will truly chase us down. He will like pound down doors and he will just like show up exactly when we need him. And I spent a couple weeks in Peru this summer. As the more that I think about it, and like specifically with that story, it almost feels like when I look back to all those memories, it just feels like moment after moment where I watched God chase down those kids. And he like would be like, it just, I saw his heart so clearly in Peru because it almost felt like I got to watch him chase down those kids until they knew how much he loved them. And what I think is the coolest part is that it looked so different for every single kid on that trip. For one kid, that looked like they were like confused about their future. And then there was this like stray dog that showed up every single day and they just like fell in love with it. And it like was their sign from God that like they needed to be a vet. And I'm like, perfect. I'm like, that's great. Right? I'm like, that's exactly how you needed it. And then like for another, there was like, they were just so anxious, like more anxious than they had been in their life. And it was kind of like a tricky situation for them and they were really struggling. And like God showed up on a walk and when they were the most anxious and there was just like a chance to just walk around and just chat. And like, I know God showed up in that moment for that kid. And for another, it was like the last night of the trip and there was one thing they wanted to do in Peru that they still hadn't yet. And the odds of it happening were literally zero, you guys. Like there was no chance it was gonna work out. And we were walking back to the like where we were staying, and like we were like, I like was kind of like, oh no, like I feel so bad. Like what are we gonna do? And like I was praying, but I was praying with a heart of doubt, I'll be honest. And then it happened on the way home. And it was like the biggest miracle to them. And they like talked about it that night and how it was how God showed up. And that was so different from anyone else. And there was like time after time after time after time on that trip where I watched God chase down an individual on that trip and make sure that his kids knew that he loved them. And I think that's the coolest part about this relationship that we have with God is that he knows exactly how to chase us down. He knows exactly how to win our hearts over, and he will not stop at anything until we know that.
I actually love that so much. It reminds me of a conversation I had with a friend the other day too. They said they had some friends that said they're going to go travel the world because they need to go find themselves. They had no idea where they were, no idea what to do. So they were going to go travel and hope something happens there. And we talked about that a lot, how we kind of like chase a feeling, we chase meaning, we chase purpose. And we couldn't help but think of that quote from C.S. Lewis when he says, "The fact that our heart yearns for something this earth can't supply is proof that heaven must be our home." And I love that. I feel like we're always
quotes. That's what I love.
It's so good. Like we're
good quote,
always
man.
chasing something, and it makes so much sense in my brain, guys, why the thing we're chasing, the thing we're yearning for is not found here on this earth, because it's not of this earth. It's heaven, it's God. And there's a reason we have those yearnings in our heart. There's a reason he shows up in stray dogs, in pennies on the ground, no matter what they may be, is because he speaks a different language than us. He wants us to come back home, and he'll do anything he possibly can to make sure that happens.
Okay, there's this thought I just cannot get out of my head right now after listening to you guys. The church is set up. There's so many I just feel like right now I'm like the church is set up so that God can be in relentless pursuit of people. I mean, you think about like ministering, right? Can you imagine if the whole church had ministering really on point? I mean, you got people being pursued. You got God working through people, through neighbors, through family, through friends, right? Through ministering, being in God's like, hey, go be in people's homes, man. I'm trying to pursue them, get in their home. You think of like, I'm just thinking of like baptisms for the dead right now. God's like, hey, man, I don't care. They're going to have their choice later, but you go and do that work for them because I'm pursuing them. Go do the baptisms, go do the work in the temple because I'm pursuing them, and they'll choose. But go after them. I just can't help but think that, man, I'm just thinking right now, like everything in the church right now is set up. And we're not perfect at it, and we're working at it, and we're work in progress for sure, and it's all good. But God is leading his work in his church, and the church is set up so that God can pursue people relentlessly.
That's
I just
sick.
can't get that out of
I
my mind right
love
now.
that thought.
That's such a good thought.
And it's like just thinking of that changes how I want to approach like all the things. Because sometimes like, oh, I gotta do my ministry this month, or I gotta, whatever.
Yeah, but when
no,
you look at
it's
it like that, like I'm helping God
Yeah.
pursue his kids. You know, I'm helping him get through. I'm helping break down the barriers. Like I'm helping him connect. Like that's a different mindset.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that brings up a really good point that, at least for me in my life, I think one of the most obvious ways that God has pursued me is through other ones of his children. And I think time after time after time, God will use someone to show me how much he cares about me, to show me that he hasn't forgotten about me, to show me that I am not too far away from him. And it's little things. It's like just like new friend groups or an invitation to something, or maybe it's someone just like reaching out and texting me, or maybe it's someone showing up when I didn't expect it. But I think that's one of the coolest things that I've discovered about God is not only how eager he is to show up for us, but how often he will use other ones of his children to show up as angels for us, to remind us that he will pursue us no matter what happens.
I love that. It makes me think on an even more personal level. How many times has God tried to use you to help someone know that he's in relentless pursuit for them? And how many times have I maybe shoved a feeling away or not acted on a first thought or let my second thought overcome my first thought? Be someone who is ready to use so God can remind his kids that he is after them and he wants them with him.
I want that. You know what I mean? Like I want to be his guy. I want to be his guy that I'm like, yeah, I'll say the words you want me to say. I'll go to the person you want me to go to, because that's such a beautiful life. I think so many of my most beautiful experiences have been when I've seen God use someone else to do that in my life, or when I've seen him use me to do that in someone else's life. And I'm just like, just listening to this, I'm like, so many times I'm living distracted on things that don't matter as much. Like God is doing a work. God is doing something so beautiful where he is reaching out and making sure that every single one of his kids knows that he loves him. He is doing such a beautiful work where he is reaching out to every single one of his kids and helping them reach their potential. And he wants us to be a part of that. And I do too, but so many times I get distracted in these other things. But just talking about this, I'm like, no, like I want to be in it. Like I want to be full-time a part of that beautiful, beautiful work.
This is so good. It just makes me want to take a step back and be like, man, who in my life right now could benefit from feeling relentlessly pursued by God? And I know it's not all going to be me. It's not going to all be us. But yeah, if there's a chance, and he talks about the roadblocks, right? He's like, God's not putting up roadblocks. But I feel like in our efforts to help other people feel loved and to feel cared for, sometimes we put up our own roadblocks, right? Like, I'm not a very good friend anyway, or I'm kind of awkward anyway. I don't really know how to talk or be chill anyway. But it's like, you putting up roadblocks, bro. And God's trying to take them down. Don't put them up after he's taking them down, man. He got people for you to serve, to love, and to care for. He's put unique gifts and talents and experiences in your life and in your heart so that you can go and help them.
Well, and I think we are so afraid as humans to care. It's like ingrained in us that it's the coolest thing in the world to not care about other people and to not love other people, and don't be the first one to text, and don't reach out more often than they're reaching out to you, and don't reply within a certain amount of hours because that will make you seem desperate. And we like put all these barriers on caring for people. And I think there's no one on earth that shows us that is absolutely the dumbest thing in the entire world than God and Jesus. I think they show up time after time after time. When we ignore them, they still show up. When we don't listen to them, they still show up. When we aren't talking to them, when we're not praying, when we're not doing what we're supposed to do, whatever, when we're forgetting about them, when we're missing all of the things that they're doing for us, time after time after time, they show up. They are never embarrassed to care about us. They are never ashamed to be absolutely in love with us. And I think that's a really good lesson, not only in our relationship with them, but how we treat other people as well.
I'm caught up in your presence. I just wanna sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never wanna leave. Oh, I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything more than anything that you can do. I just want you. I just want you. Nothing else, nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you. Nothing else, nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you. Nothing else, nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you.
See you next week.